Hi students, welcome back to 10th English Medium Science class. We are studying the chapter Heredity and Evolution. In previous session we studied the basic concepts of evolution. So taking an example of a group of red beetles. So evolution is sequence of gradual changes which take place in the primitive organisms over millions of years in which new species were produced. So gradual changes take place in the original or beginning organisms, means primitive organisms. So when these changes take place slowly, after millions of years, total collection of these changes will be a new organism, new species will be produced. And we took example of a group of red beetles to study different aspects of evolution. So sometimes suddenly a new organism is produced with different characters from its parents, and if it is fit to survive in the environment and the nature chooses them, then they will continue as the new species. So that is called as natural selection. And sometime all the red except one, that is blue, sometime blue colored beetles produced, they also increased in number, but some natural disasters will occur and most of the previous organisms die, but recent organisms, some of the recent organisms will survive and they will continue their generation. So in this way also the old generation discontinues and new generation starts. This is also one part of the evolution. It is called as genetic drift. And sometime population isolation also takes place, and the population gets affected for a short duration only due to some environmental changes, but this is not the evolution, no, because no genetic changes occurred in it. And we studied what is difference between acquired traits and inherited traits, and also we studied what are the different methods of uh, production of new species in the world. Speciation takes place when variation is combined with geographical isolation. So when the newly produced organisms, they separate from their original parents for many years, for millions of years. So they will change in their body and in their structure, and they will be different from their parents, and they will continue as the new species. That is called as speciation. So different methods are there. Gene flow occurs between population that are partly but not completely separated. So sometimes some migrant goes outside and comes back and again continues the generation. And genetic drift means random change in the frequency of gene pairs in population over successive generations. And natural selection is the process by which nature selects the consolidate consolidate those organisms which are more suitable, adapted, and possess favorable variations. So if the variations or changes are favorable to the environment, then the new changes will survive, new organisms will survive in the nature. And geographical isolation, it is caused by mountain ranges, rivers, or new islands, and organisms will separate from their parents and develop as group of new population. So there are different methods of arising of new species. And genetic drift takes place due to severe changes in DNA. That is called as, also called as mutation. It is called as mutation. Severe changes in DNA. Suddenly, sometime changes take place in the chemical structure of the DNA of an organism. So, in next generation, so many drastic changes will be seen. So, that is called as mutation. And changes in the number of chromosomes. It is also called as mutation. So, genetic drift take place due to changes in DNA and changes in chromosome numbers. Next, we study evolution and classification. Both evolution and classifications are interlinked, and if you study the classification of organisms, you will understand what is the evolution. For example, in 9th class, you studied the classification of organisms from microorganisms to unicellular, multicellular organisms, and then to complex plants and animals. So, if you see the life starting from the bacteria, the life started from bacteria and then slowly amoeba-like organisms produced from that, and then from euglena, and then algae, they all produced, and from algae plants developed, and in this some paramecium, and then insects, and then fish, from fish, animals. So if you observe the arrangement of organisms in classification, you will understand that all life started from a single cell. So that shows the evolution in the organisms. Classification of species is reflection of their evolutionary relationship. So classification of species is nothing but the mirror for the evolutionary relationship. How the organisms are connected with each other, that will be shown. For example, frog lays eggs in the water. Similarly, fish also lays eggs in the water. So there is a relation between them. So we can say that a frog has taken evolution from some sort of fishes. Frog lays eggs in the water, and first when the organisms come out, they look like fishes. Slowly it develops legs, tails, and it starts coming on the land. So this is very good example for the evolution of life. Life first started in water and slowly it came on the land. And then you can compare the salamander. Salamander looks like lizard, and the lizards and salamanders are different. Salamander is a frog-like organism which looks like a lizard, but it is amphibian. But snakes and lizards they belong to reptiles, and from reptiles birds the birds evolved from the reptiles, and from birds you can say other organisms also evolved. So like this you can compare the characteristics of organism in classification and understand how one organism is similar to another organism and which belong to different species. For example, human beings look like apes. So there is a evolutionary relation between apes and human being. Classification of species is reflection of their evolutionary relationship. The more characteristic two species have in common, the more closely they are related. If more characteristics are common in two organisms, then they are related to each other. For example, you take human being and apes. Human being is looking same as the ape. The number of chromosomes are only difference is 2 between chimpanzee and human being. And chimpanzee is social animal. It lives in the family, and human being is also social animal and live in the family. So in this way, there are lot of physiological and anatomical and their sociological similarities are there in the two. So you can say that they are very closely related to each other. You can say that our ancestors are same. The more closely they are related, the more recently they have a common ancestor. So they will have a common ancestor. If monkey or ape is assembling with the human being, means they have evolved from a common animal. So we have common ancestor. Similarities among organisms allow us to group them together and to study their characteristics. So similarities among the organisms will allow us to group them. We are grouping the organisms which are similar in their biological and physical activities and structures, and study their characteristics. So tracing evolutionary relationships. So how do you find out who is the ancestor of which animal or which organism? So we study two types of methods to relate between the ancestors and their successors. Tracing evolutionary relationships. So they are also called as evidences of evolution. Both are same. First, homologous organs. So if you study homologous organs, you will understand how these organisms originated from their ancestors. Morphological and anatomical evidences. Morphology, anatomy. Morphology means their working functions, and anatomy means their structure. Based on structure and function, you can classify the organisms. These are the organs that have same basic structural plan and origin but different functions. The organs which have same basic structural plan but and origin but different functions are called as homologous organs. Homologous organs provide evidence for evolution by telling us that they are derived from the same ancestor. So homologous organ, if you study in different organisms, shows that they are all coming from the same ancestors, same forefathers. For example, if you see an example, you will understand. Forelimb of horse, wings of bat. It is wings, not wind, wing, W-I-N-G-S. Wings of bat and paw of cat. So if you see these are all front legs of the organisms. It is shown here. Forelimb of frog. So they have attached frog also. Forelimb of lizard. Forelimb of bird. Forelimb of human being. And if you take forelimb of horse, they are all same in their structures, but their function is different. For example, forelimb of frog is used for jumping, and forelimb of lizard is modified to attach to the walls, and forelimb of bird is made for flying. There are no fingers and all that. They are made for flying in the air. And forelimb of human being is used for holding the things and doing so many creative work. And forelimb of horse is modified to run. And bat, four limbs of bat is made for flying. They are modified for flying. So they are having the same structure, but these organisms are using them for different purposes. So that might have happened due to changes in the environment or for their requirement. So based on the structure, we can say that these all are coming from the same ancestor, same father or father and mother have given birth to different organisms during the time of evolution. So such type of organs are called as homologous organs. They have same basic structural plan but different functions to perform. Next, analogous organs. Here it is opposite to homologous. Here the function is same but structure is different. These are the organs that have different origin and structural plan but same function. So these organs are having different structure and they have originated from different organisms but their function is same. So they are called as analogous organs. Analogous organs provide mechanism for evolution. For example, wings of bat, they have elongated fingers with skin folds. So in bats, they are elongated fingers. Between them there is the skin which helps to fly in the sky like wing, but the structure of wing is different. Wings of birds are having a feathery covering along the arm. So different basic structure but perform similar function. So you can also compare this with wings of butterfly. Wings of butterfly. So wings of butterfly are made for flying also, but their structure is very different. They belong to insects. So you can see here, wing of bird and wing of butterfly. They are made for same purpose, but their structure is different. So such type of organs which have same function but different structure are called as analogous organs. So here you can say that idea of evolution. These insects might have evolved from the birds or birds might have evolved from the insects. So in this way you can compare the function and structure of organs to understand who are their ancestors. Next, one more evidence for the evolution is fossils. They are called as paleontological evidences. Paleontology is the branch of science in which we study the fossils of organisms. What are fossils? The remains and relics of dead organisms of the past are called as fossils. So many organisms were living in the ancient time. They died and they are buried under the ground. So after millions of years, when someone is digging the ground, we will get their bones, their remains, and we call them as fossils. For example, nowadays scientists are excavating the fossils of dinosaurs. So many dinosaurs fossils are available under the ground. We can call them as fossils of dinosaurs. Fossils are preserved traces of living organisms. The fossils are nothing but the preserved, means protected traces, pieces of living organism. Example, fossil Archaeopteryx possesses feathers of reptiles as well as birds. So a fossil is available called as Archaeopteryx. It is having the feathers and also it behaves as the reptiles. So the characteristics of both birds and reptiles are present in the Archaeopteryx. So this shows that the birds are evolved from the reptiles. And some examples of fossils are also given. So this suggests that birds have evolved from reptiles. And examples of fossils. Ammonite, fossil invertebrate. So ammonite is the name of the fossil. It is the invertebrate. Invertebrate means the organisms which don't have backbones. So the today's examples are invertebrates are what? The sponge and then mollusca and then insects. These are belonging to the invertebrate group of animals. and trilobite is also example for invertebrate, and Nightia fish, fossil fish, and Jasaurus, it is the name of a fossil of dinosaur skull. So different fossils are available in the earth to study and compare them with the present organisms and understand how the changes have taken place in the old organism to give birth to a new species. So how to determine the age of fossils? So how they determine the age of fossils? How many years back that organism was living? Deeper the fossil, older it is. So if you get when digging, if you get on the upper surface, means it is recently dead. So if you are digging, you will get the human being in 6 or 7 feet below. Because we dig 7 feet to bury the human being. So as you go on digging under the ground, if you go to 20 feet or 30 feet down and you will get an organism, means it has buried so many years ago. So deeper the fossil, older it is. Recent means top layer of the earth surface. So if they are available on top layer of the earth surface, means they are recent organisms. So as you go down, as you go to the second layer, third layer, fourth layer, fifth layer, sixth layer, and you will get an organism that will be older. Top layer means recent organism, bottom layer means older organism. Detecting the ratios of differences of the same elements in the fossil material is called as radiocarbon dating, C4 dating. So there is one more method to determine the age of the organism, that is detecting the ratio of difference of same elements in the fossil material. So there is a carbon present in each and every organism. So you can calculate the amount of carbon present in a living organism and dead organism. So based on comparing the amount of carbon present in living organism and dead living organism, you can compare their ages. If less carbon is available, means it is older organism. If more carbon is available, means it is recent organism. Because in our body we are eating food every day and we are consuming the glucose. In glucose there is C6H12O6. So this carbon is present in our body. So we will calculate how much carbon is present in our body, means we are living organisms. Say it is 100. So as you check the amount of carbon available in older organisms, the amount of carbon will go on reducing. So that means it is older organism. Next, evolution by stages. So evolution takes place in bit by bit, slowly in the different stages. So what they are different stages we will study here. Evolution takes place in stages, that is bit by bit generations. It is not taking place suddenly. Man did not become immediately from the monkey. It took millions of years to convert the man from monkey to human being. Generation to generation, some changes will take place. For example, fitness advantage, evolution of eyes. Evolution of complex organs is not sudden. It occurs due to minor changes in DNA, however takes place bit by bit over generation. So complex organs are not developed in one or two generations. They take so many generations to develop. Slowly changes take place in the DNA, and then after so many years a new DNA is produced. For example, flatworm. In flatworm there are rudimentary eyes. means it is just eyes, it cannot see like human beings, so enough to give fitness advantage. So just as the fitness advantage it is available. And then insects have compound eyes. If you see the eyes of the insects, their eyes are made up of so many small eyes, not a single eye. So every part of the eye is a eye. It is called as compound eye. But in human being we have only one eye. So that is having binocular eyes. We call them as binocular eyes. Two eyes are there. Bi means two. So two eyes will give very good vision of the world as compared to compound eyes of the insects. And rudimentary eyes means just they have appeared in the flatworm. From flatworm to human being, if you observe the eyes in different organisms, slowly the development of eyes has taken place, and they are evolved maximum in human being. So you can say that our eyes are coming from the flatworm. When we were flatworm, there was the origination of the eyes, and now we have fully developed. So you can say that the ancestors of these organisms may be common. Next, functional advantage. Functional means due to some work, they change in their body structure and use them as the new organs. For example, evolution of feathers. Feathers provide insulation in cold weather, but later they might become useful for flight. So actually feathers were made to protect the organisms in cold weather. They were protecting the organisms from cold to maintain the body temperature. So but later they were used also for the flight, for flying. So this is evolution of feathers is example for functional advantage. For functional advantage, they change their body structure. Examples: dinosaurs had feathers but could not fly using feathers, but birds seem to have later adapted the feathers to flight. So many dinosaurs had feathers, but they did not use them to fly. But later when birds used them for the flight, and they understood the advantage of flying. If they fly, they will escape from the enemies and they can live for long time. So that gave them new idea of the wings. So in this way, because of requirement of new ideas and because of requirement of new facilities, they change in their body, and that is called as functional advantage. So in this way, evolution also takes stage by stages depending on the fitness advantage and functional advantage. And evolution by artificial selection. So artificial selection is made by usually human beings and other organisms, so which are taken from original organism to next organism, they will go on surviving. See here, one example is given. Humans have been a powerful agent in modifying wild species to suit their own requirement throughout ages by using artificial selection. So we are selecting some organisms for our own use, and we are giving more importance for them in their evolution. So different type of organisms are developed. For example, we keep the cow for milking. So we are getting milk from the cow, and we are doing research in cows, and every year so different varieties of cows are taken place. So in this way, that cow has gone a drastic change in the world so that it can give more and more milk. We are concentrating on production of milk from the cows, so we are selecting those cows which are giving more milk. The cows which are not giving milk or which are not giving more milk, their generation is ending, and nowadays only those cows are available which give more milk. Similarly, human beings select the organism and reject some organism. The rejected organisms will end their generation, but selected organisms will continue their generation. For example, here one more example is given, that is cabbage. From wild cabbage, many varieties like broccoli, cauliflower, red cabbage, kale, cabbage, and kohlrabi were obtained by artificial selection. So here, wild cabbage, there was a wild cabbage. So according to our requirement, we have changed that cabbage. So from wild cabbage, two were used. One is kale cabbage and another one is only cabbage. So with short distance between leaves, the leaves are very close together in this, and that is advantage for the food of the human being. And kale with larger leaves, it is also used in some places as the vegetable, and in some places it is broccoli, arrested flower development. So it is arrested flower, the leaves will not grow but flowers are gathered in the less place. And cauliflower has sterile flowers, so they don't give the seeds, they are not converted into seeds. And kohlrabi with swollen parts, their roots and stems are swollen. So these all are looking different, but their ancestry is the same, which is that only one plant. These are all originated from the same ancestor, but they are taking different shapes and size and different functions due to selection by the human being. Human being is responsible for different changes in the wild cabbage to look like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi and kale. They are all same organisms, but they have changed due to human activity. And wheat also. Another example is wheat. Many varieties of wheat obtained due to artificial selection. We select those wheat which are giving more food material and which grow faster. So those generations are only continuing. The old generations which were giving the less food are finished. They are completely not available now. So human being is also responsible for the changes in organisms, that is evolution by artificial selection. Next, one more method of evolution is molecular phylogeny. It is based on the idea that changes in DNA during reproduction are basic events in evolution. So during the reproduction, some changes take place in DNA arrangement. So if there is change in DNA, so different type of proteins are produced, and those proteins will be responsible for production of different cells than the original cell. Then there will be a new organism in the world, because DNA is responsible for controlling each and every characteristic of organism. So if that DNA itself changes, there will be change in organisms. And organisms which are most distantly related will accumulate greater differences in their DNA. So the DNA will be different, more and more different as we go through to the older organism. For example, if you consider the chimpanzee and human being, there is about 90% of similarity is there between chimpanzee and human being. But if you compare it with monkey there is only about 50% similarities are there between monkey and human being. So monkey is the oldest relative of the human being, but chimpanzee is recent relative of human being. So in this way, how much similar is the DNA structure in organisms, that will help in understanding the ancestor of organisms. So in DNA, 2 points you have to remember. It is based on the idea that changes in DNA during reproduction are basic events in evolution, and organisms which are most distantly related will accumulate greater differences in their DNA. And here some information is given about human evolution. So how you can study the evolution of human being? Tools to study human evolutionary relationship. Excavating means digging the earth and collecting the fossils will help in finding the older versions of human being in the earth. Time dating, another tool that helps, this is called as carbon dating also. So if you calculate the time of that fossil, you will understand at what time it was there. And fossils themselves, the bones, skulls, and dead remains of human being may be available under the ground during the excavation. And determining DNA sequences. So nowadays in laboratory you can isolate DNA and compare it with the present DNA of human being, and you will find out how much difference is there. Based on percentage of difference, you can find how old that organism is. And next, although there is great diversity of human forms all over the world, yet all humans are single species. So if you see different people in the world, they are looking different. For example, it is given hundreds of years ago, earliest members arose in Africa. So it is said that human being first evolved in Africa, and from Africa he went to different places in the earth, and now they are all looking different. For example, East Asia, South Africa, Eurasia, Australia, Central Asia, West Asia, islands of Indonesia, Africa, and Philippines. So the man who originated in Africa, he traveled to different places. And now if you compare the man in Africa and man in India, they are very much different. They are very black and their hairs are different, their height is more. But in India, we are medium sized and our color is not so dark or not so white. So this shows that we have relationship with the African man, but due to isolation of so many years, some body changes have taken place. But we are all common species. He is also Homo sapien, we are also Homo sapien. They did not go in a single line. They went forward and backward. So they went forward, came backward, means they visited one place and again went to the original place and moved in and out of Africa. They went out and again came back to Africa. Sometimes came back to mix with each other. Sometimes they came back to mix with each other. So human species is the single. We look different because of environmental conditions. So in this chapter we have used so many words. The meaning of those words are given here. Genetic terminology. Gene. Gene means what? Mendel used the term factor for a gene. He used factor, but nowadays we use it as gene. A gene is unit of DNA responsible for the inheritance of character. For example, height. For height, there is certain chemical combination of DNA which passes from parent to child. So that part of DNA is called as a gene. And allele, a pair of genes that control the two alternatives of the same character are called as allele. So it is group of two traits, dwarfness, tallness. So together we can call it as one allele. A pair of genes that control the two alternatives of the same character. One is height, another one is dwarf. Together is called as one allele. Heterozygous, the organism in which both the genes of a character are unlike. For example, in tall plant, there may be genes of tall plant and dwarf plant both. It is tall because the tallness is what dominant character, therefore it is expressed. Homozygous means the organism in which both the genes of a character are similar. Both the characters are similar. For example, capital T and small t, they either high or either dwarf. Dominant means the gene which expresses itself in F1 generation is known as dominant gene. So which expresses itself in the first generation is called as dominant. And the recessive, the gene which is unable to express itself in the presence of the dominant gene. So if dominant gene is present, it is hidden. So hidden character can be called as recessive character. And genotype, it is the genetic constitution of an organism which determine the characters. So genetic configuration or constitution of an organism is called as genotype. Phenotype means it is appearance of an individual organism. So in this way, different words are there. Next, microevolution. So it is evolution which is on a small scale. And species, a group of similar individuals within a population that can interbred and produce fertile offsprings. A group of similar individuals within a population that can interbreed and produce fertile offsprings are called as species. For example, human being is a same species. He can marry between his species and give birth to young ones. Dogs are one species. Tiger is one species. Next, chromosomes, thread-like structures present in the nucleus of a cell containing hereditary information of the cell is called as chromosomes. Usually they contain DNA. And DNA is deoxyribose nucleic acid. It is present in chromosomes which carries traits in a coded form from one generation to the next generation. The characters are transferred from one generation to another generation in the form of this chemical deoxyribose nucleic acid. This ends this chapter. So here some questions are given and you read the textbook and write question answers from the textbook also. Thank you.